Major General Sir Nigel Holmes, speaking in 1945, said, "Without Southampton we could not have done D-Day." Yet the greatest amphibious assault in world history is hardly mentioned in official narratives. Southampton was singled out by the Luftwaffe as a priority target in 1939 and 1940. It was the home of the legendary Supermarine Spitfire fighter aircraft, and Thornycroft Shipbuilders was in close proximity. Airfields in northern France made Southampton an easy target for bombers. The poster "Keep Calm and Carry On" is used to exemplify the spirit of the people at the time. Yet it is a matter of public record that the port was closed to non-essential traffic for 2 years. Recently restored to local archives is the file showing the concern of the UK government. Before the war, Southampton was a leading port, and authorities wanted to know why the town had seemingly capitulated so quickly. In response, they sent Wing Commander Hodsall to find out. Once again, his report does not show authorities in a good light. Critics point to the level of trekking that occurred during the period. People in Southampton travelled to the outskirts of the town to escape the bombing. This became a way of life for many. But to others, this was seen as an act of cowardice. And once again, for many years, local residents were in denial that trekking ever took place. A recent example of how this period is treated with rose-tinted glasses is the play The Shadow Factory, which is played to packed houses in Southampton. The Luftwaffe mouthpiece, Der Adler, the Eagle, featured centre-page spreads of the raids on Southampton in many languages. Aerial photos were quick to illustrate the success of the raids. But the truth is that the German propaganda was right. Once again, authors sympathetic to the plight of Southampton claim that as far back as 1942, the town was considered the invasion port for Operation Overlord. But to accept this notion is to fail to accept the reality of the situation. Strategically, the practicalities of Southampton were the same in 1942 as they were in 1940. Militarily, although it does not fall well with local historians, it would be foolhardy to recommend Southampton as the invasion port when it was just as vulnerable to enemy bombing as ever. The idea that the British High Command recommended Southampton as the base for American forces is farcical. The US Army chose Southampton despite British reservations. The 375-acre Southampton Common provided the ideal transit or sausage camp for troops, with a 12-mile marshalling area designated C, funneling troops and equipment through the docks. However, the enemy logic was simple. According to their own propaganda, Southampton was finished in 1940, and applying logic to the situation, if Southampton was finished, it could not be considered the platform for an invasion force. It was this logic that prevailed and provided the greatest gift Southampton gave D-Day, the element of surprise. Operation Fortitude and the Allied deception of the German High Command, double agents, dummy tanks, fake armies, was predicated on this assumption. Local residents could see and hear the mass movement of men and material, but did not think the town was any different from any other port in the UK. On Dock Gate 8 is a bronzed metal memorial plaque presented by the US Army in commemoration of the military personnel who embarked from the port in World War II. The inscription reads 1939 to 45. This tablet was presented to the Southern Railway by the 14th Major Port United States Army in proud and glorious memory of the men and women of the forces of the United Nations who sailed from this port during the Great War against aggression to secure the freedom of mankind. The history of Southampton in World War II is difficult for local people to accept because it would mean acknowledging the difficulties encountered early in the war. But ultimately, the story is one of the resilience of local people to participate in one of the greatest military engagements of all time to help to overcome one of the most evil regimes in world history.